This is my first Zoom, so I'm just getting used to Zoom and getting things to function. So yeah, please bear with me if I make a few technical errors. So yeah, I'm just going to talk a little bit to begin with, and then you're free to ask any questions or express whatever you feel comes to you. There's no right or wrong possible, of course. So yeah, this is just a free conversation, really. Yeah, I'd like to just say a few words to begin, so that we just have a bit of an intro. So all there is this immediacy. There's nothing but this immediacy. There doesn't need to be anything but this immediacy. This is enough. This is enough. That's all we're talking about. This enoughness, this aliveness. There's plenty of words that we can use to express this, but it never really will be this, because no words that really can express what this is. This is unknowableness. This is just energy. It doesn't have to have a meaning or a purpose. In fact, it's impossible for this to have a meaning or a purpose. This doesn't have to be anything, and it can be everything. So it's a quality which is free, and it's the expression of freedom, because it's unknowable. Ultimately, what we're talking about is unknowableness. Unknowableness seeming to be known. Unknowableness apparently happening. This is the expression where this is an expression to describe what this is, and there's no possibility for there to be continuation. Time doesn't really exist. So in fact, it's not even that we can't even say that there's anything happening at all. There's actually nothing happening. There's just aliveness, just immediacy, without there needing to be anything else. Immediacy just as it is. We can talk about this. We can go into this, but in the end, it will always be that. We can discuss it, but usually when there is a question about this, it will always come down to all there is what there is. So please, yes, any questions that you have, any feelings that you have, you're welcome to talk or to express here, and we can discuss that together. There's a newness to everything. Because there's nobody that's trying to grasp it. There's no questioner, so there's no question. Yes.
It,
Yeah.
it it's it isn't it's intriguing, but it shouldn't be intriguing really. But it's sort of intriguing that although it's spoken about slightly differently by everyone who speaks from this very radical message, it is fundamentally the same, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
really is just this. It really
Yeah.
is, and there it can't be known, and there isn't anyone, blah 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 blah. And it was like, okay, there's somebody else saying that. It's like it's
Yeah,
just
unfortunately, it's a bit boring, really. I mean, it's in the end, it's just kind of in a way like the packaging changes. Perhaps some people prefer one type of packaging to another type of packaging.
mm,
I mean, I really like the Tony packaging myself. I'm quite in love with that, but and there's lots of them that I am. But that was the one for me that was where that rang clear. But it's just essentially it's something that is that there it's very difficult to describe in any other words.
mm. And it's the me can't. It's like it's the how the me looks through is there's a story, there's time, there's a past,
Yeah.
there's separate individuals, separate characters. Some of them are alive, some of them are dead. There's a whole series of circumstances that happened, and there will be things in the future, and there's a whole load of things happening now. And
Well, it
and
seems to. I mean,
that's what I
all the
mean.
point. Yeah.
The me is
Apparently. Yeah.
certain that that is true.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's and yet, and what you're saying is, but it seems to, and there wasn't. There wasn't.
Yes. Well. Yes. I mean, there's just immediacy. So I mean that it makes it much it that's a radical kind of shift from past, future, now. Immediacy isn't now. It's not living in the now, if you like,
Hmm.
because then it would be somebody living in the now. And actually, there isn't anybody in immediacy. There's nobody there. So yeah. I mean, that's the that's the radical aspect about it. Yeah, it's not. It's utterly simple. Utterly simple. It can't be more simple. But in a way, I think that's the thing that the me state tries to grasp onto. That
Hmm.
that's always the trick. The contraction, the energy of contraction, which we call me. It's just energy in that form, but it's just that quality of contraction um, is always in time because time is known, or it seems to be. It's just a concept, of course. It's just conceptual. But
Hmm.
time is something that it can kind of say, yes, this happened within this thing.
Hmm.
I know what that is. So you blocked it off. This is yeah, I know what that is. It's this. And then I know what that is. It's this. And then I know what that is. It's this. All little separate bits that are
Yes.
known. And that's what being real is. Something being real is it's known in a little bubble. I know what that is.
So when the me that the apparent me seems to live in this very complicated story of all the many, many things it knows, even when it knows it doesn't know something, that's still knowing, isn't it? Because it's, well, I know I don't know how to speak Russian, but it's still a thing I know that I don't know how to speak Russian, you know. So it's like and then there's this immediacy, so like two words,
Yeah.
just two words. I mean, it's like, you know, it's
Well,
just
it's
two
two words that
words.
don't have any concepts, really. That's
And
the
there's
bit.
nothing, there's nothing, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's a real, when you speak, it's a real, oh, there's nothing. And then there's all this, the appearance
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
what wants to be known or what claims to be knowing.
Yeah.
And then there's there's a real freshness about this immediacy. It's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
just
It's fresh. It's new. It's always new. You know. I mean, it's the because there isn't anything else. That's the interesting thing is that there isn't anything else. The me I call the me state because it's not there is no such thing as me. It's a state of energy. It's a
mm,
state of energy, and it's an illusion, hallucination, whatever you want to call it. But essentially, it's energy in that form, and that is a quality that is in. It's not constant. It's not constant. It's not constant within a seeming 24-hour quality. You know, it's not constant. It go, you know, that contraction will come in and out. You know,
mm,
so it's yeah. I mean, it's impossible in a way to kind of see something beautiful or be touched by something or to feel some sort of pleasure in the body if that contraction is full on. Just so you know, it's an inconstant state,
mm.
and it's the only state, of course. That's the only one that there is. There's no other state outside of the me state. That's it.
Right. Mm. Because there wouldn't be anything else.
There's nothing. There's well, yeah, yeah.
There isn't anything else.
Even I mean, the me state itself is just energy appearing as that. It's not real if you want to describe it an entity of some, you know, it doesn't have a personality. So it's very impersonal, this message, I have to say. It's extremely impersonal because it isn't it is actually kind of well it's completely expressing that there is no such thing as that identity. That identity is not it's irrelevant. It actually just becomes completely irrelevant.
Are you saying I'm irrelevant, David?
Not you, not you. The
I'm joking.
natural expression there, but the me state, if you like, yeah,
Mm,
that is far. It feels it's very relevant.
mm. Thank you. That's beautiful. You think I'll shut up now, let other people ask.
This doesn't need to be found anywhere. You can't find this. It's just it's the end of an illusion, the end of attention. It's just something that just relaxes. The questioner is tension. It's just the energy of tension. The seeker is the energy of tension, contraction, and it just runs out of energy. And then all there is this.
So, sorry, me
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
Um, so if the I won't say if the me falls away, if because that doesn't happen because there wasn't one. So, but
You
if
can
it's
say
seen there
anything. You know,
was
you
no,
can say anything. There's no good. There's no right way of saying anything. You know. Yeah,
well, that then when it's seen there's no me,
yeah.
it occurred to me today that, I have a lot of quite neurotic, anxiety-based thinking that goes on here. And I realize I live in this dream that, I mean, it was so clear. It was like, oh, Gabriella, you think you're going to get enlightened and then that's going to stop. And that's not what's going to happen, is it? If anything's going to happen, that's not what's going to happen. It's like my sense was actually that's just going to carry on. It's just that it
There's a
won't
fantasy.
matter.
There's a fantasies about what it's going to be like. You know, that we get caught up in these sort of fantasies. You know, it's going to be like this or it's going to be like that. But it's not. It's of course that's part of the dream. You know, that's part of me trying to get somewhere. It's
Mm,
the sort of contraction trying to find something. You know, but it's impossible to to have an idea of everything. So you can't grasp this. That's the beauty of it in a way. It's completely. It doesn't require you at all to do it, which is. I mean, that is absolutely wonderful, really, because you know it's the whole of life in a way is just like an efforting.
mm,
It's an efforting. It's a drive. You know, for the me state is always in a drive of trying to get somewhere, and this is the only thing that you can't get to. You know, it's the only. You know, it's Neverland. It's you can't ever find that this. So yeah, I mean, when you say that there's that time and there's a sort of a story about that and a lot of anxious thoughts. When there's time, there's always that projection into the future.
mm,
So time is always running, you know, with the me. The me is always time based.
mm. Yeah, it's interesting. It's
And
true,
when
isn't
that sort of when that fades out or the energy is just drops out, there's no there's no me there. So there's no time. There's no concept of, you know, what's going to happen in the future or what could happen to me in the future. It's not like that.
it? Mm,
It's not that you can plan something or you can, you can have thoughts that are about whatever it is, but they're not concerning this 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 ambition, if you like, this driving force to get somewhere. That just falls away.
mm. Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Mm.
Do you listen to any other speakers still, or you don't feel the need anymore?
No, this was a big change actually because I really did that for a very long time. So for a huge percentage of my life, I've been listening to this so-called life. I've been listening to speakers, to UG Krishnamurti to begin with, and then it was Tony Parsons. That pretty much those two, particularly. But then when this just fell away, that need to go to keep on listening, to keep on being engaged with that message, just dropped out. I just didn't need to anymore. It was just that was quite nice to say. It's, but you listen to it, but with the perhaps now it's different. I can listen to it with a different quality, because before it was sort of listening to it hoping there was something I was going to get out of it. And even though everybody would say, well, you're not going to get anything out of this, there's nothing to get, blah blah, you've heard the whole damn thing 100 times before. But somehow that seeking energy, that contraction, while it's still in that contracted state, wants to hold on to those words, and it becomes an addiction in itself. Going to meetings, yeah, that doesn't happen. It's just aliveness. It's just, it's profound aliveness. I mean, it's already everything. It's already this. That's the thing. It's already this. It's not need. You don't need to travel thousands of miles on your knees repenting. You just need to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. It's Mary Oliver, actually. But it's a beautiful phrase. I love that. It's already everything. That's the beautiful thing about this. It's already everything. In a way, you can relax. You can relax. As if, but how do you fall asleep? How do you keep your heart beating, breathing? All there is this. Wonderfully unknowable. This is relief. It's like a sigh, because it's already everything. Don't need to find it.
Hi, David.
Hi, Susie.
Hi, I'm so happy you're doing this. Thank
Well,
you.
you inspired me.
Uh, it's just so good. I mean, it's so funny, when you speak of this immediacy, it seems like it's like the collapse of everything, like anything that I try to grasp onto, time,
Yeah,
concepts, everything immediately. It's not anyone doing that, but it's just this immediate collapse.
yeah,
And you know what's so weird though? Like, then there's this me energy that comes seeming contracted me energy
hmm
that comes back, feels like it comes back. And it needs to hear this immediacy, that
yeah,
addiction that you were talking about almost.
yeah. It needs to hit you. So you're saying that that contraction, it feels like it needs to hear that again.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's because in a way that there's always it always attaches to the words. It always tries to, no matter what words you use, immediacy, or it can be anything. The contraction wants to hold on to that. It will turn it into an object. Actually, it will turn immediacy into an object. It will turn it into something that it can grasp onto and say, "This is mine." It's my immediacy. It's known immediacy. In a way, you could say known immediacy is now. You know, this is you could describe it like that. But I mean, it is impossible. Yeah, it is impossible to grasp this.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely impossible. I mean, it's the words, it's the hands, but without the description, it's just
Yeah,
this
yeah,
unknowable, like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then there seems to be this narrative that
Yeah.
It's almost like, I mean, I don't know whether that was felt there, but it seems like this extreme sense of like mean and being.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yes, I think now that has come away, that's fallen away, I recognize that there were these gaps before, these momentary gaps, or glimpses or whatever. But yeah, it seems like that is something that a lot of people experience. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just so like, I mean, it's ridiculous almost like the obviousness of this immediacy. It's almost like, why do we even speak of it? I mean, geez, it's just this. And then it's like, huh?
Yeah, yeah, because it's. I mean, this also can be in well. This apparently is in the form of me states, contracted me states in the world that are going around all imagining that they have a life and that they have a story that is very very real and true, and that they're on a path to get somewhere because everything is sort of in that sort of horizontal plane, if you like, sort of like there's a direction to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny because all of that just seems to collapse.
Yes. Yes. It just
And what you were saying before, like no one does that because I wouldn't even know how to do that. How do you do that?
no. Well, there wasn't anyone in the first place. I mean, just an illusion, a hallucination, which is energy in that form. And that energy seems to break, collapse. And then there's nothing else. Then there's, in a way, there's nothing to talk about. We managed to talk about it quite a lot.
Yeah.
Us, people that are interested in this. But yeah, but it's there's nothing to talk about, and it's not I think the thing about the me state is that it does see itself and what it's doing is very significant and very important, and it's sort of like it makes and essentially there isn't anything that is significant or important. Everything is neutral. Everything's neutral. This is neutral. This is neutrality. Unconditional neutrality. I mean, funnily enough, love, unconditional. I prefer use to say unconditional neutrality, because in a way, love has got so many connotations associated with it, and you wouldn't think of love being completely neutral, but it is just neutrality.
Yeah. Yeah, even unconditional love can have that sort of, mother kind of thing to it,
exactly.
or God or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, something sticky to it. But it's funny how I like how you say the me is a state. It just feels sort of impersonal in a sense because it's not personal, but
it isn't. It's not. It's not personal because there's no person.
Yeah, so the contraction that's arising is just a contraction. It's not.
Yeah.
And then there's thinking that there's this or this.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can
attaching
call
it
it a
to.
contraction, or you can call it an illusion, you can call it hallucination, you can call it whatever you want, but it is just energy in that form. Everything is energy, and that quality of energy that seems to happen in the human body.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen anywhere else that we know of, but it seems to happen, and that's what it is. And just like
And
everything
that's
else,
what the me's trying to escape, is it that contraction in the body? Is that what it's?
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I think that the body is constantly moving to a catharsis of the me. It wants to constantly. The body doesn't like contraction. It's constantly trying to, find ways of getting rid of that contraction in a way.
Yeah. Actually, when we talked last time, you said something and it kind of, really resonated here when you were saying that, and we were speaking about this slightly. I can't remember the conversation until kind of now, but you were saying that wants to be felt. That contracted energy, that wants to be felt.
Well, I mean, the contracted energy is just what it is. It is there, and then it can fall away. But it is felt in a certain sense as the contraction of seeking. So it is felt. Yeah, it is felt. I mean, that's the drive of the me to find a solution. That's the contraction of energy. The contraction is there trying to find a solution where it's not doesn't feel contracted anymore. So it finds that in lots of different things. You can find that in drugs. You can find that in anything which essentially has this sort of strong cathartic energy, usually an expression or something that's sort of for a short period of time, because it won't last very long. But it will get rid of that contraction for a bit. There's lots of people seeking that in lots of different ways. They'll do that in meditation, all of those kind of healthy ways, supposedly healthy ways. And then we've got all of the other ways, which are the unhealthy ways, but actually they're the same thing. It's still this somehow a seeking to be rid of that contraction.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that contraction. So that energy, whatever's happening, regardless of,
No, it's completely neutral. There's nothing wrong with that contraction at all. I mean, we wouldn't ask the question, or say, that snail is wrong, or that blade of grass is wrong, or that flower is wrong, or that desk is wrong. It's just what it is. It doesn't. The me state, the contractive energy, is just what it is. It's a phenomena. It doesn't feel very nice, I have to say.
Could I just jump in and ask, is it fear, the contracted energy? Is it basically just, or can it be different emotions? I mean, to me, it's like fear all the time.
I mean, I know what you're saying in that.
Yeah.
That fear is in a way is contraction, But then what is fear?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Fear is just energy in that form. It's just what it is. It's the unknowable in that form.
And the me doesn't feel safe, like that feeling like you're really losing your footing, you know?
Yeah. I mean, fear is, you could, I mean, in a way, you can say it's the mother of all trauma. You could describe that contraction as the mother of all trauma. Somehow that you know, as a young child, that contraction comes into the body somehow, apparently, and seems to, and then there's that fear, it certainly relates to fear.
I know, like
separation,
a while
feeling
ago
separate.
in a story, like my daughter, something happened with my daughter. So this is like a mother, very visceral feeling, you know? And that was like when I went to the worst fear. I was paralyzed, you know, that something would happen to her, you know? And then it just like, I was listening to non-duality too. And it was sort of like, I reached sort of this state, or I guess, just like a blank, you know, like that was it. That was the bottom. When you say rock bottom or something of fear, you know, it was just, even the mother thing would be gone. You know, that identity is so strong, right? So
it
was very fearful. It was like, well, I still can feel it.
I mean, and
you know,
totally,
strong.
And that, you know, that quality is
really strongly conditioned.
Very strong, and stories are told about that quality. That begins in a way a very long story. From that initial contraction, if you like. And all of that, that's in what is in this, that is no longer relevant. It seems to be very relevant, and that story seems to be very much who I am. Who I am, you know, it's what it's the fabric of my identity is associated a lot of the time with traumas, with things that have happened, supposedly, seemingly,
and then developing a story over so many years of cause and effect, you know, like if I did everything was always related to the mother, you know, somehow.
And they drive one drives the other one. So
so it's it's just like sort of hearing this message, you know, this exposure of unconditional, well, neutrality, like you say, but I would use love too. So because it feels like it's so enough, you know, it's so loving, it's so boundless, it's so unexpressible. And I know since I have, like you know, whatever, I'm just being with this, my relationship with my daughter and my grandchildren is 100% improved. You know what I mean? Like I don't interfere in their business. You know, I just see them as me's too, living out their story, you know, in their worlds. And they like that. They like
it's inevitable. It's inevitable.
So I mean, it's inevitable,
whether they are in a certain quality of enjoyment of it or not. I mean,
again,
it comes and goes. You know? And inevitably, I mean, from this, it's very clear that seeking is tension.
Yeah. Yeah. In the body.
Yeah,
you mean?
I mean it's tension. It's a driving tension.
And it's been in the body since birth, like
seems
since
like
childhood?
that. Yeah, it seems well early on. I think you know, the way Tony used to describe it, which I get a real sense that feels right to me, is that he used to say that it was the point at which the child's brain gets to a point of abstracting a sense of me, sense of myself, and it's that at that point of abstract thought. I mean, this is all, of course, a story about something. This is not real, but it's a way of describing it is that, and I resonate with that. I used to teach kindergarten at a certain short period of time, and it was very clear that there was a big difference between children who were 2 to 3 and children that were 3 to 4. There was an enormous difference, you know. It's there were you know, at 2 and 3, there's a lot of the time nothing going on, and at 3 to 4, then there's lots of me's trying to fight for the room.
I sort of like get annoyed with the no me thing, you know. I don't know why. It's like, isn't it kind of like part of the boundlessness that the sort of the me has to develop into somebody before?
No, that would be what that would be. Is
drop it, not being.
Well, that's, in a way, that's a story about becoming. It's a story about a process that's happening, and that eventually that there is that would mean that, you know, what, in a way, what you're saying is that what that would be, that time was real, and the continuousness was real, and that those things, and that
so like a child could have experiences, you know, natural for their age and everything, but just not owning a me energy state, like you say.
Well, it just comes in, doesn't it? It just comes in. I mean, there's no.
It's immediacy, right? Like whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, that contraction is what I mean, is that contraction just comes in. It forms.
Okay.
And then it falls away. Then at any point, of course, that can just fall away. There is no requirement for it to go through a particular process.
Right. Okay.
The story of David, you know, going through 25 years of listening to non-duality, is exactly equal to the person that walks into a Tony Parsons meeting for the first time and just doesn't walk out again. So because there's no reference point. There isn't anybody. There isn't any time.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Well, it's a relief.
It's a relief because it's sort of like the seeker me is so like, oh my goodness, it's like hanging on for dear life, you know.
Yeah, I mean, natural reality is ultimately just the relief. That's all it is. That's the, you know. I think it's really, that's the, in a way, that there's something wonderful about that. And the nature of, in a way, the world's, the apparent world not having that veiling of the contraction of me, because the contraction of me, the me state contraction, is something that what I feel is that it contracts the senses.
Yeah.
It's a sensory contraction.
Yeah.
So, you know, for this, there was much more light in the room. In a way, there was some sort of sensory closing down. That contraction was very felt in the body.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't have to be like that. That's just this, you know, it can be completely different for different people. Yeah.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you.
So, hi, David.
Hi, Imran. No, nice to see you.
Nice to see you again. For a start, I went to a non-duality meeting in Brighton yesterday, and someone said they watched your video of your meeting, your first meeting. They watched it from beginning to end, all 3 hours.
Wow, my God.
Yeah.
They had a lot of time on their hands.
There is no time.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, David, thank you. Thank you for today, not for doing today's meeting, but the content that has emerged. And this unconditional neutrality doesn't really have any sort of weight in the same way that unconditional love does, where unconditional love, that term is often used in relationships, perhaps. But yeah, it's unconditional neutrality is quite incredible. Yeah.
I mean, it's of course, it's just a play on words in a way. It's an impossible thing to describe. But to me, love is a beautiful term. And in a certain sense, that is what is. It's all love. But you know, when love is war, and love is you know, is anxiety and, you know, contraction, that is all love, then it is a much more it doesn't bring the same yeah, it's I think people have overused that, and it becomes something which it isn't.
Of course.
Yeah.
And David, you know, like obviously immediacy is a word being used.
I like that. Yeah.
I think in some sense the opposite of immediacy is this can't be immediacy, or me. The opposite of immediacy is me, meaning the me, meaning I have to fix this. It can't be this.
Well, immediacy doesn't have an opposite, actually.
Of course.
But because there is me, this immediacy is me. It isn't. It isn't. It's immediately me. Me.
Yes, of course. Yeah, that makes sense too.
So there's no outside of that, if you like.
Yes. And in terms of the me state, that perfectly fits as well, that there's a me state. Now, the me, I think, clearly becomes averse to certain things, feeling fear or feeling that dark sense of shame he or she felt decades ago. So the me state seems to be perpetually seeking an optimization or a temporary resolution of the tension, if you like.
Yeah, it's always becoming. It's always trying to become something else. It's always going to a better place. It's always going uphill, of course. I mean, or attempting to go uphill. You know, of course, it gets dragged downhill as well. But it's always attempting to get to a higher plane. That's the ideal, you know, to get somewhere better. Because this is not enough. What is not enough. It is enough, but the contraction, the energy of contraction, is a driving force. It's a driving energy, and until that driving just burns out or falls out or just turns off, however you want to describe it, apparently, that drive carries on, and the questions come out of that drive. First, there's a questioner with a drive, then there's a question. You know?
Yeah.
Without the questioner, there's no question.
Of course, yeah.
You know, without you know, if you're relaxed, you're not thinking that you're not trying to get somewhere. In a way, it's a way of describing it.
Yes, of course, yeah. Seeking, as you said, I think a few minutes ago, is vain attempted tension resolution. I added my bit. Yeah. It's all in vain. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. It's all in vain, but there's no choice.
Yes, of course.
There's no. It's a state of energy that is, you know, that does what it does. There's no choice in that.
And yet, with education or religion or culture or whatever other indoctrination occurs, one learns that one must seek better financial circumstances, a place in heaven, and much more. So
all of those things that you're talking about, I mean, I would say a massive proportion of what we call human culture is born out of seeking. So I mean, that whole energy, you know, is coming out of seeking. A lot of the, you know, what we're learning and trying to, you know, all of that process is coming out of seeking. A lot of it, not everything, but a lot of it is.
David, loads of it, because if we look at, I don't know, the three Abrahamic religions, they've got an afterlife, and other religions have an afterlife, continuation, perpetuation of the me, and then there's the concept of karma, or the concept of reincarnation, more continuity, more me, everything.
All of that is a dream, and completely. It's completely the me fodder. It's me. It's the stuff that me you know, uses in a way, or the energy that is about contraction, which, you know, keeps it going down the path to get somewhere, and completely missing what already is this energy, thisness.
Yes.
It's sort of a constant distraction.
Yeah. And seeking itself can often take the form of so-called functional or dysfunctional distractions that one engages in, in order to not feel whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, it does what it does.
Yes.
It it goes through, whatever it does, that contraction, which of course is not always the same. As I said, it's not continuous. Everybody thinks it's continuous. The me state believes that it is a continuous thing that carries on and that was born and then it will die. That's all within its ideology, within the contractive ideology. But all of that is as I said, irrelevant. It doesn't have any meaning, any importance. It doesn't have any
importance. Yes.
Yeah.
And I think you said a bit earlier that just like the body heals if there's a cut or a wound, the body seeks to heal this tension as well. I know you didn't use the word heal, I think. The body has its own inherent way of
instinct.
Dealing with me, shall we say? Dealing with the me,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it has an instinct for sure.
Yes.
And I think, what is very clear is that the contractive quality of me gets in the way of instinct.
Yeah. You spoke of it's a sensory. The me can be a sensory deprivation because only relatively recently, in the past few weeks, I'm hearing the lyrics to music, and sometime in the past year or so, in time, I began to see nature. Oh, there's this thing called nature, and it's beautiful. Yeah, yeah. It's a sensory shutdown. It's a narrowing. Yeah.
Yes. For this from this, I had I certainly had a sort of narrower, more contractive picture of the world, and it definitely was something that was sensorily contractive. Yeah.
And I think when one's exposed to this message, this immediacy in this message, then it's obvious some people will reject it. It's obvious some people will be hooked in some way, and it's quite interesting when it's heard by no one. Then a significant, I would say, softening has taken place here. A very significant burning out is taking place here. It can be challenging, but it would very much appear that a burning out where everything's becoming obsolete or superfluous, or things are being seen by no one in a new way. For the me is being seen slowly for the superfluous.
In the end, that the me can't be seen. Because there's nobody seeing it. But there can, for sure. As Andreas points out, and I completely agree with him, there can be a fading out of this. But then that at the end, there is an end. There's something that at the last straw, in a way, there's a I would say something just drops, and I'm turning it into a happening, but apparently something just collapses. The end of an illusion. The end of it. There's an end of that illusion, because it's simply just there's no more energy left. That's the best way that I can describe it. There's no more energy left for that. It bores itself to death.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that's kind of familiar. Yeah. Because previously there was huge amounts of energy, if not every iota of energy, was invested into the conviction of the me, and now there's doubt, to say the least.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, David. For now.
Pleasure.
It's been brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
David, I think there was a question from somebody.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Did I miss somebody? Whoever it is, just unmute yourself and you can ask a question.
No, it's in the chat, David. Someone posted something in the chat.
Okay.
Ray has posted in the chat.
Thank you very much. I didn't know that. Right, how do I find out where that is? Sorry, here's my, I know, I can't see anything in the chat. Yes, sorry, I've got it. If there's nothing wrong with a blade of grass, why are you saying the same thing for genocide or murder? There's nothing wrong with anything. So there's nothing right with anything either. So we're not, this is not to say that as a human, as this body doesn't go away from genocide or murder, or the energy of a murderer or war or whatever. There's a natural instinct actually in this body to move away often from those situations. And a blade of grass wouldn't be so threatening. But what we're talking about when we're talking about thisness, aliveness, this immediacy, is that there is nothing outside of this immediacy. There's a neutrality that is unconditional, associated with all of the things that you're mentioning. So there's nothing right or wrong. I hope that answers your question, Ben. This body and all bodies have natural instinctive quality, like every animal or plant. We go towards some things away from other things, like a magnet, instinctively. So just to say that there's nothing to find here. There's nothing that you needed to get from our conversation. It's just this. It was this before the conversation, and it is this now. It's always this. It's always aliveness. It's always immediacy. There's no possibility of escaping. And the beauty of it is that is what is always longed for. something that is already unescapable, something that is already everything. Thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate my first scene. Thank you for the flowers.